Gacha, a wonderful community built upon many things such as memes, trends, music videos, original stories, mini-movies, documentaries, and even commentary. The Gacha community truly needs no introduction after almost a decade of relevance and cringe. Of course, just like any community, Gacha has its own problems. To name a few would be difficult. We have truly horrible creators who use their audiences as weapons of harassment. We even have some really messed up grown-up creators who flirt with underage people. But these cases are rare and far between years. Although problems like that exist, one controversial issue in the community is gacha heat. Or in other words, to explain it for someone who doesn't know what that is, gacha heat refers to controversial content that depicts inappropriate and overly sexual suggestive themes with characters from games like Gacha Life or Gacha Club. It's content that crosses the boundaries of what is accepted within the community, especially given that much of the community consists of children and teenagers. I think I don't need to say why gacha heat is problematic, but I'll explain it anyway in 3 points. Firstly, as I mentioned before, the majority of gacha users are minors. The oversaturation of gacha heat content exposes kids to sexual themes that they may not fully grasp, normalizing that type of content in their lives. But you may be thinking to yourselves right now, yeah, gacha heat seems problematic, but how does it affect a person? I'll give you a simple example so that everyone understands what I'm talking about. Imagine a young person named Blaj who was exposed to gacha heat during their puberty. At that time, Blaj was supposed to be taught what a healthy relationship is and how to treat another person they love deeply. Instead, they consumed gacha heat content that showcases a lot of explicit material. Later on in life, when the person had grown up and stepped into the dating scene, they started pushing their partner to engage in sexual activities without their consent or being concerned about whether their partner was willing to do such things. Why? Because that's just what Blaj thought was normal. I know this example may seem silly, but it's really not unrealistic in today's day and age when explicit content is present on every social media platform. Secondly, gacha heat, if not all the time, then most of the time, has been the #1 source of cringe from gacha that allows other communities or famous YouTubers to clown on us. In the grand scheme of things, it's really not that deep when you think about it compared to the first problem we discussed. But it's still an issue that makes our community's creators be viewed as lower-level YouTubers unworthy of having an audience or any relevance. Most likely, this stigma will never die as long as gacha heat content is being made. And thirdly, this correlates to the first point I mentioned. Some creators exploit gacha heat to their advantage to attract viewers or engagement to their content. I really don't need to go deep into this point since I've made countless short rant videos on creators that exploit gacha heat to get easy views. Gacha heat, whether you like it or not, is an easy topic that will attract people regardless of whether they hate it or like it. I'll probably link some example rants of creators that use clickbait gacha heat in the pinned comment if I'm not too lazy. Now that I've fully explained what gacha heat is and what potential problems it poses, let's get into the real reason why I'm making this video. Since gacha heat has been called out by many gacha tubers as unwanted in the community, it has sort of died out in the YouTube space because there's no space for that. Although at first glance, it gives the impression that gacha heat doesn't exist anymore since the main platform for gacha, aka YouTube, barely has any gacha heat-based content left. That's not the case for platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and the one I wanted to delve into today, Twitter, otherwise known as X. Where do I even start with this platform? Twitter is probably my most used platform besides YouTube nowadays because it just has all the latest news that I want to know. But since Elon Musk bought the company, the platform has been infested with sexual content, and by extension, that means gacha heat too. Despite the attempts made by the gacha community on platforms like YouTube to distance themselves from that type of problematic content, Twitter has secretly become a breeding ground for gacha heat due to the platform's loose moderation. What's honestly bad about this is that Twitter posts are so easy to stumble upon. Unlike YouTube content, you don't need to be fully involved in gacha content to see it, which honestly endangers younger people who use Twitter because the platform lacks heavy moderation. Recently, I came across a creator who has been posting gacha heat since this year on Twitter, and it's just so odd how people don't even try to prevent this content when thousands of users see it. It's honestly not just harmful to the reputation of the gacha community as a whole, but also dangerous for the young audiences who might come across it. But this video isn't just about calling out one random Twitter creator who makes gacha heat. It's about addressing the failure of other platforms to enforce boundaries that protect younger audiences. The community has worked so hard in the past few years to be known as a talented community that isn't just based on cringe, but that can also animate and create immersive stories. Allowing gacha heat to thrive on platforms like Twitter undermines that work. As the gacha community, it's up to us to continue calling out this type of content when we see it. If gacha heat has taught us anything in these past years, it's that ignoring a problem doesn't make it go away. The gacha community deserves better, and I hope we can have a meaningful discussion about this topic.